ladies and gentlemen from Walsworth Road Baptist Church. I'm here with my good friend Paul Redding, who happens to be a policeman in the London area. And because it is Father's Day, I thought it would be great to bring in a father of three.
Yes.
Three. And an inspirational male role model to talk to us about some of the work he's doing. Now, how long have you been a policeman?
I've been in the police for 20 years. I joined later, I was later in life, I was a boxer. And I thought at that point I had 2 children. I needed something that was a bit more secure. And I applied for the fire brigade and I failed the entrance exams. And my friend said, why don't you apply for the police? And I thought, well, I don't think they'll accept me. But because the different qualifications needed. And at that time, back in 2000, it was there was a recruitment drive. And I thought, oh, okay, it's worth a try. And I was disappointed I didn't get into the fire brigade, but it's a job where I think at that point, for every one job, they had 200 applicants. Okay. So it's a very hard job to get into. So I applied to the police, and I think at that point they were desperate. And I got in, and it was. I mean, my outlook on it was I wasn't sure if I would like it or not. And I thought, well, if I get in, it's going to open doors. It will set me up for another, potentially another job, because as being a police officer, or an ex-police officer, you would deem to be sort of trustworthy character. And 20 years later, I'm still in the police. So.
You said you were a heavyweight boxer.
Yeah, so I boxed.
Professional boxer.
I was a professional boxer, and I had a long amateur career. I started boxing at the age of 14 years old. I'm very near, just up the back here, actually, Walsworth Road, the youth centre. And I started at 14, and I carried on boxing through the amateur ranks, and I was very lucky. I travelled all over the world, and I had my last fight as a professional boxer. I was 39 years old, so 7 years ago, or 7 years ago, sorry. And I continued. When I joined the police, actually, I was going to pack the boxing up, and they really encouraged it, because it was something different, and there's not very many policemen that are boxers. So I carried on competing and with the boxing, as long as doing my day job, or my job. And as I said, I had my last fight in 2012. And then I decided I had 65 boxing matches, and I thought, right, that's enough now, because it takes a toll, obviously, on you, and it was great. And from there, I went in. When I retired, after being in something for so long, I thought I would like to keep involved because of the experience that I had from the boxing, and working in London, my day job, I'm a beat officer in Paddington, so I walk around the Paddington area and I work with gangs. And as a boxer, you need a lot of discipline. You really need a lot of discipline. So in 2009, I thought a lot of these kids, and we'll go into that perhaps a bit further, but a lot of these youngsters, they need discipline. And what great sport other than boxing? So through work, I started a club where I didn't have them actually physically boxing each other, as in punching each other, but I opened a club where they would train. So I had heavy bags, and we had the hand mix, and I would do fitness training and running, and I would do that twice a week through work. They were very good because it's all about youth diversion and keeping sort of kids off of the street. And I do that every Wednesday and every Friday, and we've done this now for 11 years, and it's only for an hour through work, and I go in, I do it in uniform.
Really?
So it's really good, because and it breaks down the barriers between the police and a lot of these youngsters, because actually they don't see me as PC Paul, they see me as there's the boxing coach. Even if I'm walking around Paddington in uniform, there's the boxing coach.
So how many children, what age groups?
So we have so it's all funded by Westminster Council. The hire of the hall and the equipment, they've been really supportive. So they've funded it for 11 years since I started, and we have to give them feedback on how many we're getting. So on average, we're getting about 30 children every night. Well, on a Wednesday and 30 on a Friday. Over a period of time, so I keep a record. So what we do, we take their names and their details, and we've had over 2,500 different children. Actually, different children. I get them coming from, as I said, we're in Paddington, we get a lot of local kids, but it's from every background. You know, it's a diverse area. Big Arabic Muslim community, there's a big West Indian community, an African and Eastern European, so I'm getting it from all over. What has been good is then we have what we call the young offending team, so we call it yachts. So children that have been in trouble, they go to court and then they get referral orders, referrals to the yacht team, and they work with the police, and so they will give them mentors and talk to them about job prospects, and we're heavily involved with that. What yachts do now, when they get children that perhaps have anger management or they need discipline or they've got a lack of discipline, they will send them to me, to the boxing club. So initially what I do, I will get them to help set up. I will help them, they'll get the gloves out, they'll pull the bags out. So if they get like a community service order, they might get 30 hours community service for doing something. These are all children under 18 that come to help me. So they might say, right, okay, you're going to go and work with PC Paul for PC Reading to do your 40 hours, so it's 2 hours a week. And I've had quite a few, and it's funny, I had a phone call today about one they want to send to me when the lockdown is over. I mean, I had one young lad, he lived in Harlesden, and his father lives up in Luton. And he come up to Luton and he got caught up here because he was travelling off the area. He had a knife and a knuckle duster. He got arrested and he got sent to me for 12 months. So rather than send him to a young offender unit where like a youth prison, they didn't want to do that. And he got sent to me for 12 months, and that boy stayed with me for 3 years. So what happened was, after he'd done his 12 months helping me as just a gym hand, really, and I get them involved, and I get them to exercise, get the children to exercise and do everything properly. And then he then started training with me, and he stayed with me for another extra 2 years, so 3 years in total. And it's great because you build up a relationship with them. And some of these kids passed. I mean, him name was, he come from as I said, come from Harlesden, West Indian parents. Unfortunately, the father wasn't in his life. In fact, the father actually was in Luton. He lived down in sort of North London, as I said, and he would come up now and then to see the dad, and it's just terrible because he was crying out for his father, and the father, I think, it would be when it suited him. And there's a lot of kids like that, you know.
I remember you telling me a story that really struck with me about a young man asking you to show him how to shave.
Yeah.
And your son was of an age who was starting to learn how to shave, and you were building a bond.
Yeah, I have lots. I mean that particular story I had was a young Arabic boy, and he's very mature for his age. I mean, he was 15, but he was as big like a man, bigger than I was, and he had stubble. And he come, and the rule I have is if you're going to come into my club, you behave. That means if I say we start at 6 o'clock, which we do, I want you there at 5 to 6.
So there's a lot of discipline.
It's about discipline, and the reason I do that it's more than just boxing and training. You know, as I said, I don't have them punching each other or anything like that. It's just fitness and exercise. But it's about the discipline, because I say, if you can't be here on time, or you've got a job interview, or you've got to go to school or an appointment, you've got to be on time. So I'm a real disciplinarian about you be here on time, and then we can start, you know. So this young lad himself, he come to me and he said, oh, I've got a problem. And one of the rules is, if you get in trouble, I don't want you in the club. Or I won't throw them out, but there will be, I will say, right, you can't come for X depends what they do. And he said, I've got a problem. My natural instinct, what have you done? And he said, no, he said like this on my face, and he had a bit of stubble. And he said, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, hold your chin up. And I went, I blew it. I said, right, it's gone now. I said, mum fluff. And I said, come back to me in a month. I said, it's too early yet. And he come back, and then I told him how to, I showed him how to shave. And it's heartbreaking. It's lovely. It's touching for me. That these young kids, or young boys certainly, will come and ask you the most intimate things about, I mean, I talked to them about safe sex. You know, girls, work, schooling, everything. And we've got youngsters that are in different gangs. And in the room, in the hall itself, we have children from, you can have from Paddington, from Harrow Road, from the Mozart Estate, from Harlesden, and if they was outside, they would be at each other's, you know, they wouldn't, yeah, they would be. But in there, it's we're a team, and it brings them together. And it's really nice because, as I say, they come and they ask about all sorts, just aspects of life, and a lot of it is guidance. And some of them have parents, and some of them don't have parents, you know, or they have one parent. And I mean, I have mothers that will bring the boys to me, and they say, look, I need some sort of help, because word spreads, you know, it will spread. And it's very touching, and it's humbling as well, very humbling.
So it's more than boxing. You're using your job and your life experience outside that you brought to the force, boxing, to teach them life skills. And it sounds like you're a mentor and a male role model for them, because that young man wouldn't have come to you and said, I had a problem, if he didn't have the trust in them.
No, it is, I mean, role model is a strong word, and I don't look at myself as a role model. You know, I'm a dad, and I'm a man, and I was very lucky with my father. You know, my parents, I was brought up from two good parents, always there, and I see so many young boys and girls, you know, there are a lot of mothers that raise families on their own, and they do a fantastic job. But then also there's certain times where they'll come to me because as young men, you know, they say, oh, their behaviour changes, they become very aggressive. And I'll say, well, that is the testosterone. They're going through puberty, you know, their voices change, they start growing hair on their bodies. They then, if there's no man in the house, they then think they are the man of the house, and try to dominate. And certainly certain cultures, you know, the men will be, or the young boys will be very dominant with their mothers from that community where we have Kurdish and Algerian and Afghanistan. It's a real hotbed. And the young men, when they go through puberty and through teenage years, they can become very, very strong-willed, and so the mums will bring them, and I will let them, or show them, this is how a man should behave. You know, and that is opening doors for ladies and standing up.
This is more than boxing. I thought it was just punching bags and things like that.
No, Pastor, I think, to be honest, boxing is the last thing. What I do is, if anyone does show potential with the boxing, then, because I'm a trainer for the Met, the police team, so I train police officers too. So we have a Metropolitan Police boxing team. So we have a team, we'll take them away, and they're boxing against the army and against other police forces all over the world. So any of the children that show potential, I will then get them training with the police team. And it's great. So I've got young boys who could potentially 17, 18 years old, 16-year-old, that start off very anti-police and anti-establishment, and then there you are, they're mixing in with the police. And then also on the flip side, I have police officers that are mixing with these young ex-gang members. So when they are out on the street and they see them, it's a bond straight away, because it's all about, it comes back to the sort of the boxing club. I mean, one of the young lad that asked me about the shaving, he'd never been abroad, he'd never ever left London. And he was very good. And I sort of guided him, and he come to me at the age of 12 years old, and he stayed with me until he was 19, boxing. And I got him a contest. So I trained him properly. I was taking him to another club with the police, we trained him. And I took him to Ireland, and it was the first time he'd ever been on an aeroplane, you know. And I remember it, I haven't got a passport, do I need to go to passport to go to Ireland? And it's lovely, you know, for a young man that had never been out of the country, never been on holiday. It's heartbreaking, really. You know, when we look at our own children, you know, how we take things for granted. Because things come too easily. And what it does, it shows a lot of these youngsters actually they appreciate very little what they have.
Yeah. Thank you very much. How does your faith impact you working as a policeman and with the jobs that you're doing with the community?
Immensely. I mean, I've had, you know, I'm 47 next month, and I've had faith since I was 6-7 years old. You know, without a doubt. My job, I'm out on the beat, and I work predominantly late shifts, because the issues with gangs are, you know, it's almost 24 hours a day. But where I work, we have tower blocks, and the kids come out in the evening, or the gang members, or the people who are out in the evening. So I will patrol at the council estate where I work on, and in the tower blocks, you know, late at night. But I have a very strong faith, and a lot of them say, "You're always on your own. You know, you're not frightened." And I said, "Oh, Jesus, you know, with that we can conquer everything." And I talk to them, you know, I'm very open. I talk to them about not just what we touched on, about life skills, but about faith. And the area I'm in is a huge, Edgware Road is a huge Muslim community, and it's nice for me to bring my faith into that community, because we talk and we debate, and they're very welcoming. It's a lovely community. But my faith enables me to go out and walk boldly and strongly, and every single day, and know, you know what, we can. I have no fear, and you know, and I work in an area where, I mean, London, all big cities, there are issues with guns and knives and gangs, but when you have faith, you know, I don't worry about that, because I know that I'm covered in His blood and I'm protected.
Paul, thank you very much for giving us this time, and thank you for sharing your story, and I pray that you'll continue to be blessed in the work that you're doing in the boxing and with the young people in our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor.